Brothers and sisters of the motherland, I am now in Nigeria and I am in a city where they don't say welcome, they tell you this is Lagos. Come with me as we explore Lagos city of Nigeria. Despite being the giant of Africa, by that I mean #1 GDP in Africa and gradually taking over the entertainment industry globally, Nigeria is still stereotypically misunderstood.
Africa, what's one thing that comes to your mind?
Poverty.
But today we are going to talk about Nigeria's largest and most populous city called Lagos, also known as Eko. What's up guys? I know you are triggered by the title of this video, so you came to see or you came to know why shouldn't you visit Lagos? Well, more or less this video is negativity free, as I'm going to be sharing with you my experience in Lagos. I mean my honest opinion, backing up with some footages, and at the end of the video or at the end of the day, it's all up to you to decide whether Lagos is a place to add on your bucket list or not, or whether Lagos is a place for you to move in or not. If you are new to this channel, my name is Ken. I'm Sierra Leonean history and politics student currently traveling across Africa, researching on anti-colonizers and political challenges in Africa, pre, during and post-colonialism. So if you are someone that is interested in African history or in African politics or in African travel vlogs, then I think this is the right channel. I would appreciate if you subscribe to this channel so we can create an African community here on YouTube. And if you are already someone that is familiar to my channel, I mean if you are already a subscriber, thanks for coming again. It's always great to see you here. And as you already know, today's video I'm going to start with what a day like in Lagos, like what a day with some activities or a day with some excursions looks like how much you need, how much you spend on transportation, food, gate fees, activities with my experience visiting the National Museum in Lagos Island. So without wasting time, let's get right into it. Let's go. As a researcher and history lover, whenever I visit a country, I always make sure I start with the National Museum to have the basic understanding of that country's history before I proceed with my findings. And for Lagos, Nigeria, I visited the National Museum in Lagos Island. The museum is divided into two. One is called the Nigerian Art in the Circle of Life. This place talks about Nigerians' culture, art and beliefs. Speaking of beliefs, Nigerians believe there is one God, the creator of the universe, who made people through lesser gods, goddesses and through ancestral spirits. And many of these gods are usually invoked and localized in the form of art. The other side of the museum is called Nigerian Government, Yesterday and Today. This place talks about the political history of Nigeria, like how was Nigeria pre-colonialism, during colonialism and post-colonialism, and also how Nigeria went from monarch to military government and from military government to civilian government.
We are going to start with the national flag. This flag has two colors, green and white. The green stands for agriculture, the white stands for peace. Then we look at the coat of arms. We have the eagle. The eagle stands for the strength of the nation. The horses stand for the dignity. In Nigeria, we have two major rivers. One is called River Niger, which represents this arm. The other one is called River Benue, that represents the second arm. And it happens that those two rivers make at a point called the confluence in the Kogi State Rotoga. They now form what is that the Niger Delta.
In this museum, you can also find the car in which General Murtala Muhammad was assassinated. So guys, this is the place that I really recommend you visit when you're in Lagos, or if you're Nigerian, you live in Lagos, but you feel just so tired of visiting these places, then I really recommend you visit, because there are so much to learn about your history at these museums. Yeah, some of these things you might have already learned in school, but you never know, you might just learn something new, and it's even more like important when you refresh your brain about things you've learned in the past. So do me a favor, learn about your history, go to these museums, learn about your culture and more, because like I always say, it's about time. Africans really invest time in learning about our history, culture, and heritage, because if we don't know these things, we are being robbed of our identity. And it's only when we don't have this identity crisis we start having control of our minds, like changing our minds, changing our perspectives about things in Africa, changing our perspectives about ourselves in Africa, or how we treat each other as Africans. So please do me a favor, invest time in knowing your history, learn about your culture and more. So now we're gonna start with how much I spent on this day, like visiting these museums, gate fees, food and all of that, and how much you need. So now let's calculate. I put up in Ikeja and I took cab from Ikeja to Lagos Island where the museum is, and it cost me 7k. So through and flow we are looking at 14k. But mind you, these prices might be higher or lesser depending when you visit, because I visited when Nigeria was, or let me say, is still going through a lot of crisis, fear crisis. They just had their election and their current president, almost everyone I came across didn't accept him, which left him with the question, how is he then the president? I think I also know the question, the answer to that question, but I think we should leave politics for another day. So 7k for going, 7k for coming, and we are looking at 14k. That's excluding gate fees at the museum. At the museum I spent 1k for entrance fees, and also 1k for the tour guide, because I have to like also go about the history. I know I would not just go there and walking as if I know the history. So I paid extra 1k for the tour guide, and at the end you can also like tip the tour guide if he did his job very well. Yeah, so 14k plus 2k, we are looking at 16k. So 16k for just transportation and entrance fees. We are not talking about even food. So after the tour and everything, we looked around. That was also like one of I would say disappointment, because I really looked around. I could not see African restaurant, because I'm in Africa. I always want to like explore African food, have taste of African, like different dishes in Africa. But I really walked around that place. I was just seeing this foreign restaurant, KFC. Yeah, unfortunately I ended up having lunch at KFC. But there was a good impression though. Like they did not like bring the Western KFC 100% to Nigeria. So they have also like Nigerian jollof at KFC. I had the Nigerian jollof at the KFC, and that, so me and my friend that took me around Lagos, we had that, and that was about 6k. So if you calculate that 6k, randomly 6k, I cannot like really remember the exact. So that almost like 3k for me, 3k for my friend. So 6k plus 16k. We are looking now at 22k. So 22k for a day like this. But mind you, this price is for a solo traveler. So if you are alone, then you might budget this price. But if you are more, you are going to spend more. So let me just say randomly you have to like have 25k at hand, like spending like a day like this in Lagos. Yeah, 25k in USD is, let me say, it's 30 USD or 29 USD to 30 USD. So that's what you need for a day in Lagos. 25k. So I said 25k because 22k is like what you spend on museum and the other things, but you need to have extra 3k at hand, because you never know. Lagos is a city like you don't predict. It's very, very unpredictable. You don't know, but like I said earlier, the prices of things might just go higher, and they are like, people take advantage of everything. Maybe they might just hear they are about to like increase. They have not even like increased the fuel price yet. They'll just hear news that they are about to increase fuel price or whatever. Then you will see people will just like change price, like increase price on their own. So, and especially if you are foreigner, once like you speak, they know that you are foreigner. It's very like 70% of the time the price is not going to be like how it is like as a Nigerian, like, you know, asking for these prices. So I advise a day like this you have at least 25k for transportation, going around the city, like visiting museum, or you might also not visit museum. You might try something new or something else apart from museum, but always make sure you visit the museum, learn the history. You can also like visit like some other places that are free. For example, Nikkei Gallery is also well, not in Ikeja, but it's in Lekki. You can also like visit, it's free, but some places is also you have to pay some fees to take photos or something. You can also visit Freedom Park is also free. And there's also another place to visit like Fela Shrine and more. There are actually many places you can visit about Nigerian history, but like I said, just make sure you have at least 25,000 naira at hand. Now let's talk about housing. Or more, housing in Lagos is so expensive. Not just go there. So I put up in Ikeja. Ikeja is not on the island actually, because don't go to the island. Island is way expensive. There you can even have hotel at the least price of 50 USD. No, it's way expensive there. You know, I lived in Ikeja, and Ikeja, the least price of hotel was 20k. So I really find that expensive considering the minimum wage of Nigeria. So the minimum wage of Nigeria is about 30 to 35,000 naira. Then the least price of hotel at that surrounding or in that community, because I stayed in Abajonsi. I forgot the name of the estate where I put up. Yeah, so the least price around Ikeja actually for hotel is 20k, 20,000 naira. 20,000 naira for hotel in a country which minimum wage is 35,000 naira. So imagine how expensive that is. And it's also expensive for us, or for you that is traveling on a budget, or yeah, you are going on a research program or whatsoever. You're not that rich that to be spending that kind of money on housing. You know, I also like lived in Accra for almost 2 months, and I was really complaining that Accra is really expensive, considering it's like the second most expensive city in Africa. Then I went to Lagos, and I started like withdrawing my statement when I used to say Accra is really expensive, because Lagos is really expensive. Maybe it's because of like the time I visited, like that period, like they were going through fear crisis and all of that. But I really say Lagos is expensive. So I put up in Ikeja, Abajonsi, also like expensive place. It's on the island, but it's a very, like I said, expensive and nice place, very close to the island, and it's also secure depending where you put up. So I spent like I said, the least price for hotel is 20k in Lagos. So 20k minimum per night for hotel in Lagos, except for you want to live in places like Mushin, Oshodi, or Ojuelegba. Then you have to like spend less price, but at your own risk. So I advise you yeah, do your homework well before you visit Lagos. So now let's go to transportation. For transportation, I will recommend you use either Danfo, Keke, or Okada if you really don't want to spend that much money on boats, because in Nigeria I even realized like you will search for a boat, you will see a price of like 4k, but as you drive before you get to your destination the price is already like 8k. So I really advise you take your time when you are ordering boats. Otherwise just use the Danfo or Keke or Okada. The Danfo is very slow because of the traffic in Lagos. Lagos traffic is another topic for another day because it's really slow. But the fast means is Okada. Like it's very good to beat traffic, because when you use these ones you don't really get to spend that much. You can even like spend 5k for a day for all these runnings. Like I told you, like where you supposed to have spend 14k, you might just end up spending 5k per day on transportation if you use this common and cheapest means of transportation. navigating around Lagos. So now let's go to the food. So the food in Lagos is really good. Expensive, but the price really worth it, because I've been traveling across Africa, and I have to say I will give it to the food in Nigeria and Kenya. I don't know, because maybe I'm West African, Sierra Leone, and most of our food will almost eat the same food Nigeria eats. But I really have to say the food in Nigeria and Kenya, they are like just my favorites traveling across Africa. So like I said, the food is expensive but really worth it. For breakfast, for example, you can spend actually at least 2k for breakfast, depending where you live, because prices also in Lagos is depending on where you live and what you eat. If you are living in Ikeja, so Ikeja is a eatery place, like there you have a lot of restaurants and all of that. And yeah, like I said, for breakfast you can spend at least 2k. Also for lunch, you want to have like their local dishes, like for example egusi and eba, so that I ate actually a lot. Also obono and pounded yam. For at a very decent restaurant, you can spend around 3k to 4k, because in Nigeria they sell like the pounded yam, for example, separately. They also sell the obono separately, and also the meat separately. So buying all these things putting together will cost you around like 2.5 to 3k plus drinks, like we get to 4k. So 2k for breakfast minimum, 3 to 4k for lunch also minimum. The same thing for dinner. I was actually having not that much. I'm a foodie, but when I observe the economy of Nigeria, I cut down how many times I ate per day. So sometimes I don't have breakfast, but there's a hotel I actually put up in when I was exploring Badagry, so very close to Badagry. I was lucky that the hotel came with complimentary breakfast, so I was not spending money on breakfast. So I'll just sometimes having lunch and dinner, sometimes just have late lunch and don't have dinner. In the evening I'll just like have some fruit and all of that. You have to like really manage your travel, otherwise you get stranded in the country, you can go back. Yeah, so for a day for food, I will advise you budget for 6k to 8k. If you're also someone that eats a lot, well, not eat a lot, but you love trying food, then I recommend you budget for 10k for a food, depending, I'll repeat again, depending where you find yourself. You might just even realize on the island you need like 20 to 30k for food. But yeah, in Ikeja, I'm speaking of Ikeja because there I stayed, and also in Badagry, I also like stayed there for a while. So these two places I've mentioned, like there you can spend this amount on food. So now, how much would I recommend you budget for when visiting Lagos? I would recommend, depending on your purpose of visiting, minus flights, I recommend you budget for 800 to 1k if you are visiting for work or research purposes. That's for like 2 weeks. That can serve you actually. 800 to 1k for 2 weeks for work purposes. But if you are coming on a holiday, like vacation, you want to explore more, also like the nightlife, then I recommend you budget more, even like 1.5 minus flights, because Lagos is really expensive. So I said you should budget around 800 to 1k USD or euros if you are visiting on work or research purposes, because as a worker or researcher, you're not just going to like stay one place, but you're also going to be moving around, exploring or doing the things you came to Lagos to do. For example, I stayed in Ikeja for a while. Afterwards, I moved to a town very close to Badagry, because I also had things to do in Badagry. So putting all these expenses together will add up to that very amount, 800 to 1k, except for you are visiting for holidays and all of that, then you need more. But otherwise, this price will really serve you, and you might even be lucky you still have some money left to take back home. Yeah, so visit Lagos with this budget and you will be fine. So now, whether you are coming for vacation or you're coming for work purposes or whatever reason that is bringing you to Lagos, I really recommend you take time to really not just like have one side experience, but also like try to see every side of, not try to see, but like try to really experience every bit of Lagos. So what I mean, for example, if you are this kind of luxurious person, you want to come and live on the island, you want to like party, like go to all this expensive party, that is fine. But I also really recommend that you visit other places like, you know, Mushin, Oshodi, not to stay there, but just like visit, go around and see the other side of Lagos and see the other side of life, because people are really living in a way that you might even think life should not be like this. So I really recommend you have a taste of Lagos in both ways. Have the taste of luxury, it's there, like Lagos is just anything you want is in Lagos. You can have all the luxury, you can have all the fun, but at the same time you can also have the opposite of all of that in Lagos. So I recommend you have experience of both sides, and then you really have the true story to tell about Lagos, or you really have like this true feeling about Lagos, because Lagos is a place where you can make it, and at the same time you can also like fall in Lagos, depending, because you can be rich how much or whatever you have, but in Lagos they have entertainment, they have industry, they have things that can suck all that money away and you'll be left with nothing. And at the same time you can be nothing and come to Lagos. If you're wise, if you are smart, you can also like come from nobody or from nothing to something or to somebody. So like I said, take your time, explore Lagos and really understand more about the city, because it's really a city that is so much interesting and that is supposed to be studied. So now to conclude this video, I will start with appreciating you for making it to this point in my video. And if you are an African watching this video, I really want to encourage you and at the same time challenge you to find means or to find a way to start traveling across Africa, because there is so much in this continent you can learn. Like just traveling across Africa is like a whole university. You can learn a lot in Africa, traveling across Africa. You can live all the luxury you think you can only get in you here in Africa. You can live all of that in Africa. You just need to like change your mindset, or maybe change your perspective of how you see Africa, and maybe start not just staying in Lagos or not just dreaming of going to abroad, but start with, if you're living in Nigeria, start with like visiting Kenya, or start with visiting Tanzania. If you're living in Sierra Leone, start with visiting Guinea, start visiting Ghana. Like that will start like broadening your idea, broadening your knowledge and perspective about Africa. Before you think, you will start finding value in your continent. So I really encourage you to start really thinking about traveling across Africa, traveling within Africa, learning about different culture, different ethnicity in Africa, because you might just find out when you learn all these things, you just find out that we are really one before these borders, before all this inherited culture divided us. I mean, when I say inherited culture, like from the Western. So like I said, I encourage you to start traveling across Africa, learn about different culture in Africa, and really find validation in your Africanity. So thank you so much for making it to this point in my video. Once again, if you like this video, share this video, like this video, and at the same time subscribe to my channel, like I said earlier, so we can create an African travel, history, politics community here on YouTube. Subscribe now.